Hey, it's King McKay. This is my Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 5 review. Because, you know, that's what it says in the title, so what else would it be? Okay, so we start off with this episode with this really awesome conversation between Dolorous and Jon Snow. It's pretty much a metaphor for the internet debate right now going around, is Jon Snow really resolved with his vows or not? But personally, I view vows and oaths as kind of like contracts in Game of Thrones. Now, if you have a contract to work with a company for 3 years, but a whole bunch of the employees get together and stab you to death, I think you're released from the contract. Okay, next we move on to the scene where Sansa arrives with Brienne to the wall, and I absolutely love this scene. In Game of Thrones, I've talked about this before, we have so many misses of characters, where it's like Arya about to reach, Robb Stark and Catelyn Stark, and then you'll get murdered by the Freys. We have Bran and Jon Snow so close to meeting, and it's like, oh my god, these characters are so close to each other, how are they not interacting? And then finally we get a Stark reunion, and it's, just the feels right here. Then we get this conversation between Sansa and Jon, where they're talking about their past and how they were Starks and stuff like that. Now, Sansa never really viewed Jon as her real brother, just her half-brother, and kind of distanced herself from Jon Snow. That's why she wants forgiveness for that, but it's really not important in the grand scheme of things. I still couldn't figure out from the scene if he had told Sansa that he was killed and brought back to life, because it feels like he hasn't because of the way that they're interacting, but then he brings up, after what happened, I can't really stay here. And she agrees with him, like there was something that happened there, and that she would know about it. So I really don't know. It doesn't seem like he's told it, but there's context there is. So tell me in the conversation below, do you think that Jon Snow has already told her about him dying, coming to life, or if it's just him waiting to do it or never doing it at all? Now I bring up these little in discussions with you guys because I really like listening to you guys in the conversation below. I get pages of paragraphs from people talking really in depth about their opinions, and it sways me quite a lot. Sometimes I'll make some shitty calls on Game of Thrones because when we're out of this book territory and stuff, it's actually really hard to pick what the show's going to do, especially because they're going very spectacle based and not very theory based. Some of the decisions of the characters really change real quick. If you watch any Preston Jacob video, you know how much that annoys him. But that's the same for pretty much every YouTuber. So unless you're going with the super popular opinions, then you're probably not going to be going in the right direction. So I like to hear what you guys think so that we can bounce each other's ideas off and come to the right conclusion. Okay, now we finally get Davos bringing up the fact that Stannis was killed. It took a lot longer than everyone thought it would be, but now we're finally getting this proper interactions between Davos. This is exactly how I thought Davos would react with her, from the get-go as soon as she arrived, but he really didn't. He had to wait for Jon Snow to get on his feet and back alive and that kind of stuff, which was good for the plot, but really not really sustaining his character. Talking about characters merging, this was amazing. It's like the trifecta of characters that should all hate each other. Absolutely brilliant. It's just, really good interaction there. Okay, now we finally get the pink letter, which is something that a lot of book readers have been expecting in the show and really thought we'd get earlier on, but we didn't. So it was kind of cool from, it feels like the showrunners are really trying to keep to the book storyline, but also keeping the show running, so I feel like they're trying at least now. Also, I really like Tommen. He is actually on point all of those episodes. Loving him this season. Hope we get to see a lot more of him. Once we see this reading out of the letter, and Jon Snow kind of stops halfway, and then Sansa snatches it and keeps reading it, it's really showing the power dynamic of this relationship. Sansa is willing to go ham, she's warmongering, she's ready, and she finally convinced Jon to help her out. And so Jon's going to have the wildlings, the Vale, Sansa, so hopefully some of the support from the northern houses. They're all going to work together to be able to destroy Ramsay. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Speaking of Peter Baelish, we get a scene with him and just showing how much control and manipulation he has over Robin Arryn and the power he has over the Vale. Now, I've always been fascinated with Peter Baelish. He's always been this top character that I really enjoyed. His scenes, his interactions with Varys, everything, and that's why I really like it when we get to see more of him. And if you saw my preview breakdown, shameless plug here, then you would know what I'm thinking, what he would be like in the next episode. I love the way he turned around this whole discussion with Jon's voice. It was like, at first it was a conflict between him and Pitar, and then it was this kind of third-party judgment with Robin Arryn, and then Robin Arryn throws the decision back to Peter Baelish, and it went from this power dynamic of him accusing Peter Baelish to his fate being determined by Peter Baelish. It was amazing turnaround skills by him. Okay, before I get a lot into these Tyrion scenes, I want to talk about Tyrion's democracy. This is a theory that's been going on in the community for a bit. The Tyrions end arc is to create a democracy government to rule over whatever Westeros, where they happens to be making this democracy. We can see this very clearly forming and shaping right now. In democracy and politics and stuff like that, you need to make compromises. It's kind of like choosing between two evils, which one's not as bad for your people. It's kind of like when wars are started and things like that. Now, George R. R. Martin has a very specific approach to how he thinks that most things should be determined, like anti-war all the way through, but there are things that have to be made for the better good. When you think about 7 years is hard for the individual at this time, but stopping slavery now will mean that thousands of years into the future, there will not be slavery, and it'll be better for those people. And we're also seeing the trope that politicians are not very much liked. Everyone likes to dig on politicians and stuff like that, and Tyrion is this character we all like, so we want to side with him. But now we can see this whole dilemma that we have. We've got these politicians and stuff who are trying their best to do the best outcomes for their nation, but not everyone's going to agree with all the decisions and stuff. And that's why they're like demonized, and people don't like them very much and stuff like that. But now that we know Tyrion, we know that he's a good guy, and we root for him, we can see and sympathize with the politicians and stuff like that who have to make these hard decisions, who have to make people hate them and stuff like that for the decisions they make. It doesn't excuse when they make bad decisions, but it does give us a bit of a more empathetic view of them. If you're an American, then I feel sorry for you, because that is not something I want to go into. Okay, now we move on to Daario and Jorah. I love how their interactions are so actually really awesome, because the way that they always talk and they having banter with each other and kind of insulting each other, testing each other, they don't like each other. They both got conflicting goals of what they want with Daenerys and stuff, but they're like so likable to each other, and they connect so well. If they didn't have these conflicting goals and point of views and cultures, then they would get along so well. Like, they always seem to end these what could look like arguments and conflicts in this kind of light-hearted, funny way. Like, you didn't get much discipline of a child, did you? None. Also, we find out that he's not very good of a fighter no more, that Grayscale's probably taking its toll. Now, come back to Daenerys and Jorah and stuff, but for now I'm going to talk about Marjorie for like the next 3 seconds. That was not very entertaining. Apparently Theon managed to go through the entire north, find a boat and a captain willing to take him to Pike without anyone once questioning who he was, to find out he was Theon, one of the most hated people in the north, and absolutely slaying his ass. But you know, we need to speed up the storyline, and they could probably just do the same thing in King's Landing and I wouldn't be that worried, but this is just really monsterously. So we find out that Theon intends to go to the Islands to be home, connect with his sister, and help her get the position as the ruler of the Iron Islands. How? I have no idea, but he will try and the show will think of something. I do like this show for the continuity of the characters. Like, when we first had the discussion between these guys, she was thinking that he was arriving to be able to claim his position on the Kingsmoot, which is a reasonable thing for her to think. And just because the show, people know that that's not going to happen, they know what he's like, they were like, what? Why would she think that? But it makes really good sense from her point of view. The one thing that is extremely annoying is that we haven't seen Euron Greyjoy for the last 5 episodes. It's been halfway through the season and we still haven't seen him, and he's a fantastic and potentially amazing character, so I hope we get more of him at least next episode. Now when it comes to this scene, there's something I really want to say, and I think the best way to say it is this way. Hey David, look at this. These people want us to finally address these last storylines. There's no money in that. Man, they really seem like they want this. Fine, I got an idea. Yes, it's perfect. Now back to Dany, which you guys have been all waiting for. Now this has to be the highlight episode. Many people were worried about her not being burned, because the books explicitly say, and I mean George R. R. Martin explicitly says himself, that the Targaryens are not immune to fire, and neither is Daenerys. It was a one-off event when the dragon thing happened, but the show is completely disregarding that and just using whatever the fuck they want. But apart from that minor criticism out of the way, it was brilliant. I absolutely loved it, and I want to see more of it. The event itself was awesome, but the thing is, this is going to accelerate her storyline a billion times faster. The magnitude of what just happened means that her storyline is going to get really cool, really fast, and that's what I really wanted from her all along. She was starting to get stale and old for the last, like, 4 seasons, so, come on. This is going to be good. We finally get some good Daenerys stuff. We can start loving her again. Dany haters, be gone. By the way, that's so stupid. People, like, whenever you criticize Daenerys whatsoever, it's like, you're a Dany hater. Like, that's something that you... What? What? Now, when you look at Dany, she was someone who came from nothing and became humongous. Her assets were incredible. She has a great name, beautiful, she's got a huge army of amazing warriors that are loyal to her 100%, 3, like, nuclear bomb dragons. Now she has hundreds of thousands of Dothraki warriors completely loyal to her as her subjects, and, not to mention every single Dothraki on the Great Grass Seas. Everything's coming up Millhouse. I wonder what Daenerys will do about the slaves and the position of the Dothraki, and if she tries to get rid of them, what will the Dothraki reaction be? Probably not that good, because they're changing culture and shit. Sure, you can be strong and destroy all the cows and stuff, but thousands of years of Dothraki history can't just be squashed that easily. To summarize my thoughts on this episode, it was really good. I mean, incredible episode. They got me extremely excited for the future of the series, and I hope it does you too, because it really paid off all that build-up that we had to wait for the last, 3 episodes. Now, episode 2 was pretty good, but episode 1 and 3 were really just build-ups for these 2 episodes, and that's why it was pretty amazing. Remember, tell me in the comment section below what your thoughts are about Daenerys, the High Sparrow, Jon Snow, Sansa, anyone. I want to hear so that we can come to a conclusion of what we believe these characters are going to be heading to, and we can find out what this mystery and awesome TV show of Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire is leading to once and for all. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for reviews and breakdowns of the preview every single week until Game of Thrones is at the end of its time. Also, I want your advice on other TV series and movies and books and stuff like that you want me to go into after Game of Thrones is finished for the season. I can kind of that gap period. I'll continue Game of Thrones videos all the way through that period to the next season as well, but I also want to have some other content for you guys. So anything you guys are interested in and you want me to do videos about, tell me about them in the comment section below and I'll look them up if I don't know them already. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Seriously, you'll be in the next video, because that's the life ranking. It's kind of like food at the top, sex, and then you've got King McKay right below that. Pretty much, that's life priorities. Maybe family is a bit higher, but, it's depending on your family, really. Well, this really went off topic. Subscribe to the channel. See ya.